And your children shall be like the stars above. The Most High God being the watchman of this nation.
Go bring back my brother. Oh, that's why Mr. Free.
This hello, ladies and gentlemen. Give me 1 second to control the volume on this external set here, so that it doesn't interfere with that of my microphone. All right, good evening, everybody. Good evening, everyone out there in Ground Zero. Good evening, Bamenda, Kumba, Boya, Victoria, Moyuka, Ekona, Kumba, Mamfe, Lebialam, of course, Menji, Azi, every one of you out there tuning in to this very special broadcast. I want to welcome you and also welcome those who are watching on YouTube and those who are watching right here before me on Facebook, those who are watching on any other platform. I want to welcome you to this very special broadcast. I believe this will give you inspiration for this revolution. I come to you each time. I believe I bring you inspiration, and I just hope that this message will do just that. As usual, as you join, I please encourage you, do the sharing, and also let me know where you are sharing from. I like to see people coming in from Ground Zero. I like to see people coming in from where the war zones are, because I like to hear what they have to say. And as usual, once we hit the 1,000 mark, I will do this broadcast proper. So please invite friends as you join. We have almost 200 people right now. Tune in. Please, I'm pleading with you. I don't want to take time in this broadcast. This is a very, very important broadcast. So please share the link as you join. Share the link as you join. Once you hit 1,000 people, I will do the broadcast proper. Please give me 1 second to turn on the lighting here. I forgot to turn that on. Thank you. Thank you, and sorry about that. I hope this makes a difference. All right. Again, thanks for tuning in, and I have a very special message for you today. I want you to share the link as you join. Please share the link as you join. Share the link as you join. This is a very special broadcast that I bring to you today. So if you are just joining, please share the link as you join. And again, I want to formally welcome all of you on Facebook, on YouTube, on SCBC website, on every other platform where you are joining. And please, you can also share the link on your Facebook so others can join on your Facebook. And of course, I also want to welcome those joining on the SCTV, Southern Cameroon's television. Thank you for those joining through that platform, and you on YouTube, and of course Facebook. We are hitting almost 300 people right now. Please, as you join, I'm pleading, share the link so I can go straight into this broadcast proper. Share the link, please. Thank you. Share the link. Thank you. Once we hit the 1,000 mark, I will come to you with a broadcast proper. In the meantime, I'd like to know where you are joining in from. Please let me know where you're joining in from. We are over 300 people now. Please, if these 300 people will share the link in less than no time, we will have over 600 people in that 1,000 people mark. So please share the link as you join. Share the link as you join. And let me know where you are joining in from. I see Indy for Taminang says, I'm joining in from Munich. I also see Sombani says, I'm joining in from Washington District of Columbia. I also see Amma Avis, he says he's joining in from the United Arab Emirates. So please, as you join, let me know where you're joining in from. We are almost hitting 400 number right now for me to start the broadcast at 1,000 people. Please share the link as you join, and let me know whether you can hear me good enough out there. Let me know the microphone is good, the sound is good as you join, please. I see Charlotte Ne from Ground Zero. I see Nestor from the UK. I also see Jesus Sean, say from La République du Cameroon. Alex Asa from North Carolina. Emmanuel from Libialem Wabane. Thank you. I see Mavis from Austria. Emmanuel from Australia. Edison from South Africa. Wonja from, I missed that one, I'm sorry. And please keep the numbers coming, keep the locations coming in. I see Ben Che from Germany. I also see Emilia from Dubai. I see also Inge Inchan from Damascus. Wow, there are Cameroonians in Damascus. That's interesting. Nelly from Germany. Mofu Baron says, sound is good. Thank you for letting me know. Cletus Injilam says, we are okay, 100%. Thank you for letting me know. And I also see B Square, Rafi, Germany, Stuttgart. And there is also Ngancha Divine. This is my good follower. Thank you. It says from Canada. Bobby from Luxembourg. Jakir Akbar says watching from Walvis Bay. Thank you. Please share the link. We're almost hitting 500 people right now. Almost 500 people right now. Share the link as you join. And as you share the link and we wait for the proper broadcast, I just want to brief you about a few things that are going on the ground, on Ground Zero right now. I'm sure most of you are tuned into the news coming out from Anyajua in Bello and the environs. The war currently going on in those places. Lots of casualties. You watch on Facebook, social media, you see horrible images of Amazonians killed, slaughtered like animals. They're lying in the bushes like those animals we always saw when the gas at Lake Nyos exploded. This is what La République du Cameroon is doing to our citizens. And if there is anything, if there is one thing that should encourage us to not want to quit or give up on this revolution, it should be images as the ones that we see coming out of Bello and Yajua and other places. I also have seen some requests sent to me about some vaccinations which are ongoing in Bamenda in other parts of the southern Cameroons. I have not been able to ascertain whether that piece of information is accurate, but it is always better to err on the safe side. We want to warn every southern Cameroonian in ground zero. If nurses or doctors, whoever they are who are coming to you for vaccination, please make sure that they are legitimate nurses coming from legitimate quarters to carry out vaccination on your children. Do not allow anybody put a needle on your children if there is no official announcement for that exercise to be carried out. There should be no clandestine vaccination exercise going on in Ambazonia without a proper announcement to it. So again, we have not confirmed the validity of that piece of information about the vaccination going on against polio in the southern Cameroons. But it is better we err on the side. Anybody coming to your home to vaccinate your children, please ask them, find out where they are coming from, who has sent them, and let them show you a communique from authorities, from legitimate hospitals, asking them to carry out that exercise. Again, we have seen the images coming out of Fundong, and we are very saddened with what we see. But again, that is one reason why we have to continue this fight. We have no option. We have no alternative until this battle, this war is won. We have over 600 people now. Please share the link. 600 of you who have joined. If you share the link, we would be having our over 1,200 now. When we hit the 1,000 people, I will begin with this broadcast proper. In the meantime, I have Erika Zara watching from the United Kingdom. I also have Whispers Whiz watching from St. Anne in Jamaica. Wow, there are Cameroonians in Jamaica. That's interesting. Obia Eric says, well, it doesn't give the location. I see Forbes Nelson not giving the location. He says he's watching. I see Ojong Bismarck says he's watching from La République du Cameroon. I see also Edmond Naboko from Germany. Please let me know where you're tuning in from, and let's get the numbers up there, please. Let's get the numbers up there. We're almost 650 right now. This is a very, very important message that I bring to you today, and I mean that. I'm not just saying this to get you sitting there and looking at me. I am telling you exactly what I mean. This message is a policy message. It's a very, very inspiring and important message, and I can't just deliver it to half the house. So please, as you join, do me a favor, share the link in your WhatsApp group, your Facebook groups, your Twitter groups, every social media platform on which you can share the message. Please do so. Do so right now. We are almost 700 right now. About 300 more to go before we start the broadcast proper. But again, I want to thank every one of you watching at me from ground zero, from the home front, for your resilience to this revolution. It is because of you that we are still having this fight going on. If you had given up, if you had turned your backs to this revolution, everything would have been over. But you stood in there, you held your grounds, and I can assure you, all of us out here in the diaspora, we are holding our grounds and standing with you. We are not giving up until we win this battle. So please, thank you. We have almost 700. We have 700 people right now. 700 people right now. Paula is joining in from Victoria. Thank you for the right name. I also see Fischer. This must be a German name. I can't even pronounce that. From Bundes. Fischer from Bundes. I see George Tando. There you go. Abudu Ranch, Nigeria. Missy Manka and Kim Jones. Godwin Engel from Bamenda. In Kevin Gooday. No location. He said, beer will pay for this. You are right. You will pay for it. Nelson from Ekona Mbenge. Thank you. Pius Ayuk from Maryland. Please share the link. Please share the link. Share the link as you join. Share the link as you join. Inking Fozi Alexis from Missouri. Ubia Eric said, thanks, sir. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Ayuk Enes from Gasimia. Wow, that is United Arab Emirates. I also see Ban Enda says, joining in from Douala in the colonial territory. I also see Bernadette Fawn says, from Ground Zero, Batiba. So many of you, please, we're almost hitting 800 people. Please share the link as you join the broadcast. Share the link as you join the broadcast. I also see Anye Alfred from Benin. Watching from Benin, he says. Nesto Katum, watching from the UK. Pa Saps from Canada, Edmonton, Canada. Diodone, watching from Tunisia. Kan Kelvin from Ground Zero. Festus Dikonge from Norway. Solo Mokoso from Germany. Isa Ingasa, or watching from Oromia. I don't know where Oromia is. I see Mariana Bako. I see Danson von Cham from Norway. Obia Eric, I mentioned that already. Agbo Shela, don't know where she's coming from. Julius in G. Ferdinand Tufakak. We are almost 800, less than 200 people to go. Please, I'm pleading with you. Let's get this going. Let's get the numbers rising. Let's get the numbers rising so I can come to you with this very special message. Thank you. Bam Enda is watching. Oh, no, I've read that already. Cody, Maryland. Rosa Siri, Netherlands. And Patrick Epit, or Peter, Maryland. Kevin Sean, South Africa. Cristo, Spain. Monyongo, Maryland. Godi Go, Singapore. Kim Jones, we're almost hitting 900. Thank you, thank you, thank you. The numbers are climbing. Please, those of you just joining, share the link. Once we hit the miracle number of 1,000, I will bring you this special message. This message, I consider it very, very important to this struggle. In recent days, we have seen a number of things happening in Ground Zero. We have seen the American ambassador invite some community leaders to his office to talk, to consult on dialogue. We have seen the French emissaries running to Bamenda to discuss a way out of this crisis. We have seen Issa Chiroma frame up a hostess crisis that was never there in his office. We have seen a lot of things going on. The French have asked their citizens to withdraw from the southern Cameroons. Lots and lots and lots of things are going on right now as I speak. And of course, also very important is the fact that our trip to Boya is still going on. Please, if you have not yet made your contribution, if you have not yet paid for your trip to Boya, of course, you still have the chance, the opportunity to do so. So I encourage you, please go to the website, mytriptoboya.com. www.mytriptoboya.com and pay for your ticket. You can do instrumental payments. If you are in ground zero, you can do the same. If you are worried and concerned about your identity, please download a VPN and it will hide your identity from any lot of public agent who may be looking out for you. We need these funds to shorten our journey to Boya. We need these $2 million to shorten our journey to Boya. The president has said, if we can put this money in his hands, within 3 months, our journey to Boya will no longer be a dream, it will be a near possession. So please, please, get to the computer right now, get on the website, mytriptoboya.com, get your ticket ready, and let me know you did so. But again, this broadcast today is not about My Trip to Boya per se. As important as it is, this broadcast is about a very important message about the interim government's policy position on a number of things which are going on right now on ground zero. We are 970 people right now, and any moment right now, any moment from now, I will start this broadcast. Thank you so much for making it happen. And as I continue with the broadcast, please continue sharing the link. Continue sharing the link as I continue with the broadcast. Again, about 10 people to go. We must start this at 1,000 people. So please, let's get started. Let's get started. Let's get started. As we continue with the broadcast again, keep on sharing the link. Keep on sharing the link. Again, I bring to you a very, very important policy message in this broadcast. And I have no reason to hold you anymore. Fellow Ambazonians, many of you watching and listening now have most likely read or heard of the rumors alleging that yours truly is about to quit the interim government and also quit the revolution. Rest assured that nothing could be farther from the truth. I have not at any moment even contemplated about it, nor asked by anyone or under any form of pressure by anyone to even consider or give a thought to quitting this revolution. That I am part of this crusade to free our homeland like you wasn't by my own making. Like many of you, we are all compelled to. It was forced upon all of us. It isn't a calling for a select few. It is a calling for every Ambazonian who has lived through such injustice and slavery as meted on us by the annexationists and colonial masters in French Cameroon. What this means is this: until we have seen and entered the promised land, until the streets of Boya in Bamenda are festooned with the blue and white stripes of our flag, of our colors, heralding a free republic of Ambazonia, until we have reclaimed our 1919 boundaries that set us apart from French Cameroon as an independent country, until all those votes at the United Nations for the independence of Ambazonia are redeemed, there is no quitting. Again, there is no quitting. Those who quit for any reason, especially at this moment, have not in the first place been called to the front. How can I quit the struggle when Sisiku Julius Ayoktabe still languages in unknown confinement? How can I quit the fight when Tasang Wilfred, one of those that God chose to pioneer this revolution, is still locked up? How can I quit when prisons in French Cameroon are still overflowing with freedom fighters like Mancho BBC, Penn Terence, and thousands of others, citizens of the southern Cameroons, who will fight for them if we begin to chicken out right now? Above all, how can I quit the struggle when getting to Boya, the eternal capital of a free southern Cameroon, still remains a dream? We are not ignorant of the fact that in this crusade, like many others, there are different groupings. Each group is guided by different sets of principles. And those principles essentially define what and who we are. In spite of that, we are reminded that we set out in this revolution to crucify and annihilate one enemy, and one enemy only, La République du Cameroon. Its institutional strongholds in our country, Ambazonia, and every accomplice who aids the yesteryears perpetuation of slavery upon all of us. The revolution isn't against us. It is for us. The interim government has on several occasions made it very, very clear the position that unless a person is found aiding and abetting the enemy, our target must be those that have little or nothing to do with our already victimized populace. It is the position of the interim government that every group involved in this revolution must do its best to, if possible, avoid and minimize the kind of damage that results to resentment and pain on our own people instead of the enemy that we seek to annihilate. It was for this reason that the interim government of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia initiated the Ambazonia Self-Defense Council, the ASC. The ASC seeks to bring under one umbrella all self-defense groups operating in their homeland for better coordination and collaboration. The ASC was created to formulate a single code of conduct or set of rules that applies to all of the defense groups, so that practices that have some people arrogating to themselves the powers of life and death are checked by subjecting everyone and every action under scrutiny and control. Not all the groups on the ground have joined the ASC, but the ASC and the interim government has continued outreach to all the other groups that have not yet joined. We so need that collaboration so that private militias, like the ones that Paul Atanganji is setting up, can be easily detected and immediately crushed before they wreak havoc and then turn around and blame all of us. That is one important thing about the creation of the ASC. The Bia's regime isn't running out of vicious ideas. The interim government is now in possession of intelligence linking Paul Atanganji to the formation of heavily armed militias within our territory, both in the northern zone and in the southern zone. The plan of Paul Atanganji and the colonial government in Yaoundé is to use the counter-militias to create confusion within the ranks of our self-defense groups and to carry out mayhem that they would then use to qualify us as terrorists. According to intelligence that we have gotten, sources privy to the arrangement, Atanganji's army is assigned to carry out missions similar to those of our self-defense groups. Like in the Flop terrorist incident, Atanganji's militia will carry out indiscriminate arrests of innocent people. They will frame them up and then take ransom before killing them. The militia will attack, they will arrest foreigners visiting Amber Land so that the international community is made our territory as a terrorist no-go area. Atanganji's army has also been instructed to launch attacks on vital private institutions and state property. Atanganji's militia will attack prominent people in Ambazonian territory, including politicians, schools, teachers, lawyers, and the courts. They will break into businesses, loot, and ravage them. The colonial government's ultimate goal in this is to then turn around and put the blame on our self-defense groups. Issa Chiroma will hold one of those press briefings like the one he heard with the tourists and put in display some of their atrocities, which he will attribute to our self-defense groups. You may be wondering or asking, so what does this mean to us and to this revolution? What it means is that we have to neutralize at all costs Atanganji himself, his allies, and the militia. Paul Atanganji and the likes of him can no longer be allowed to walk freely on our territory. Why they plot to exterminate all of us? We will neutralize him. We will neutralize him by getting all our self-defense groups to step forward now and get associated with the unity platform, which is the ASC. This is the time we must identify who is fighting for who and who is defending who. It means that if we have to outsmart Atanganji and the disappearing influence of the Yaoundé's regime, unity and collaboration under the Amazonia Self-Defense Council must now be an imperative for all our groups. We must not, out of greed and lust for power and control, give our detractors the opportunity to slaughter our own and then turn it on us. It is the position of this interim government to minimize as much as possible collateral damage on our territory in the course of this crusade. And in view of this, a warning is hereby passed to any youth and or any groups who would want to accept bribe to either join or form any defense group other than those recognized by the Amazonia Self-Defense Council. Refuse to take Atanganji's blood money. But if you really have to take his guns, please take it and turn it against him and his partners. Refuse to raise the gun against your own brothers, against your own sisters, and your fathers and mothers. Refuse to loot and destroy the property of our own people who are sponsors and supporters of this revolution. It's time for Opopo, one man, one power for self-defense. Fellow Ambazonians, Boya is getting closer and closer by the day as the interim government continues to make progress on a daily basis. The launch of my trip to Boya, we have seen, is getting our enemies, the enemies of our revolution, juxtaposing and making errands all over the place, trying to look for solutions that they never cared for in the past 2 years of this crisis. More than ever before, we hear of persistent calls for dialogue from quarters we never expected. We saw the French ambassador made a hitherto inconceivable trip to Bamenda to meet with community leaders. We also saw a hastily organized meeting in the American embassy in Yaoundé, in which they came out talking urgent dialogue. We also have seen a carefully fabricated plot, stage managed by Issa Chiroma, their communication minister, to frame up our self-defense brothers, flopped right in their own eyes. The Cabinet of the Federal Republic continues to meet in sessions after sessions to draw up plans that will usher us the ultimate victory that we need. Despite the fact that our president, Sisiko Julius Ayuk-Tabi, and other leaders are still being held incommunicado. And yesterday, April 5th, made it exactly 3 months since they were abducted. I can only but assure you today that the state of our revolution remains very, very strong. We are moving on. We are making progress. The stakes are getting higher for the colonial regime, for our enemy. We are making advances towards Boya. I am excited to inform you today that thousands of Ambazonians have already paid for their trip to Boya, and many others, both in the diaspora and in the homeland, are paying now as I address you this evening. Our acting president, Dr. Sako, has sworn that if he gets the money on his table, the $2 million into his hands, within 3 months, Boya would no longer be a dream, but a near possession. That is why every one of us must go out there now, pay for the trip. If you haven't yet made your contribution or donation, please consider doing so right now. Do so today and add your name among those who have already done so. The website again is www.mytriptoboya.com. Again, because of the strides we are making, we are now seeing movements and such consultations in the homeland that we have not before seen. When in the past 56 years, you didn't hear the French or see the French diplomats rushing out to our territory to consult with our community leaders and proposing the form of state they think will resolve this crisis. We never saw that. When did the French, in the past 56 years, come running to us, hoping that we propose solutions to a problem they created in the first place? Fellow Ambazonians, events of history should remind all of us that the French are not our friends. They are our #1 enemies. Paul Biya is just a stooge and a smokescreen. He is just the masquerade through which the French have channeled their enslavement of the southern Cameroons and ripped us of our resources, that rightfully belong to us. In fact, when this war must have been fought and won, the French government must be held to pay years in indemnities of the exploitation and the collateral damage they inflicted on our land, on our resources, and on our institutions. Yes, the French are our enemies #1 in this crisis. The French army is the only foreign army that has been seen in Yaoundé advising the regime how to best crush and decimate our people, our towns and villages. French armies have been sighted in helicopters in Manu, surveying the terrain and mapping it out for easy invasion and destruction by the colonial troops. French armies have been pictured planning motion detectors in bushes in Manu to use in tracking unarmed civilians for the slaughter. The French have also been reported installing surveillance cameras in Manfe and in Kumba, and of course Bamenda too, to be used in monitoring the movements of our people. The French are the first foreign country to pull its citizens out of Amazonia. Indication that they may be out to do what they left undone in Rwanda. And now the French ambassador rushed up to Bamenda to lay the groundwork for a genocide they still have on paper. He tells the people in Bamenda that the people of Bamenda belong to the Bamilekis, and that Boyard belong to the Bassas. We have learned that in discussions with community leaders in Bamenda. The French emissary stated that a federal system that hooks up the northern region to the west region and the southern region to the littoral region would be the best arrangement that saves this revolution and end the crisis. The French stated that the northern zone is naturally part of Bamileki West region. And of course also that the southern zone is also naturally part of the littoral region. What the French are proposing here is a setup, the reason for which they will have to invade our territory because they know we will not accommodate it. Their suggestion tantamount to a slap on our faces. It assumes that we are illiterate and really hasn't come to real understanding of what our Anglo-Saxon heritage is all about. Or how else would one explain the fact that the French would think for even a moment that Bamenda becomes part of Bafoussam and that Boyard becomes part of Douala? How can they even imagine this? It is an insult, to say the least. And we are going to resist the French with every fiber of blood in our souls. For years, the French have sucked out oil, our timber, our bananas, our rubber, and you name the rest. They paid no taxes to our local governments. And they are still, even now, grand planning on how to completely erase us from the map of Africa. Can you imagine that? At the very moment we are decrying annexation and colonization, the French are out talking about a complete annihilation of our territory. The French should go home with this, that the southern Cameroons would not accept any adjustment of its boundaries. Attained in 1919, when the British mandate was implemented over the southern Cameroons. In other words, the southern Cameroons has clearly defined boundaries with which, we are the Republic of Cameroon, and we will not, for any reason, by any means, accept the alteration of an inch of those boundaries. That is not going to happen. Fellow Ambazonians, the interim government of Ambazonia would like to seize this opportunity to express sincere gratitude to His Excellency Peter Henry Ballerin, United States Ambassador to La République du Cameroon, for his initiative to seek an enduring solution to this crisis. The U.S. Ambassador took the initiative that even the President of Cameroon has not. In fact, we won't be talking about this crisis today had the colonial government done exactly what the U.S. Ambassador is trying to do. Having said that, it appears apparent that the U.S. Ambassador isn't well armed with the fact of this crisis, with the fact of our history, or that he has simply been misguided in his calls for dialogue. You are apparently aware, sir, that at the escalation of this crisis, Southern Cameroonians asked for inclusive dialogue, time and again, through which lasting solutions to it should be articulated as a way out. The Bia's colonial regime turned it down again and again. Every one of those appeals. And instead, the colonial government chose cosmetic reforms and then turned to repression. Our lawyers, for example, demanded simple reforms. Very little was offered them. Our teachers also demanded reforms, and very little was done. We asked for a return to the federal system that would, at the least, return some amount of self-government to the regions. And again, we were told that that cannot be put on the table. We were told federation cannot be put on any table of dialogue. The abundance of efforts by the Bia's regime, suppressing all the demands and yearnings of the people of the former British Southern Cameroons, have now, as you are all aware, led to genocide. The razing down of whole towns and whole villages. People have been killed right inside their bedrooms. The U.S. ambassador is definitely aware of this. He is aware that thousands of Southern Cameroonians now live in the bushes. That over 3,000 others live in political detentions, and over 11,000 in refugee camps in Nigeria. Southern Cameroon's children have been denied education going to 2 years now because the colonial regime won't withdraw its troops from the street to pave way for the security of the children to go back to school. I cannot even mention the injured and people whose properties will never again be recovered. And yet, we didn't bargain for this. It was forced upon us. We didn't ask for it. They pushed it onto us. Once more, the interim government appreciates the intervention of the American ambassador in this crisis. However, we consider that the time we thought of inclusive dialogue is now over. It was far gone as a solution to this crisis. It is exhausted. The time for inclusive dialogue is no longer in our calendar. Ambazonians who have paid the ultimate price, who have died for this revolution, they didn't die, or they didn't do so fighting to go back to live with La République du Cameroon. They died fighting for a free and an independent federal republic of Ambazonia. Remember September 22nd and October 1st, 2017? A turning back to any form of settlement to the crisis that doesn't name Boya as the capital of a free and independent Ambazonia will be a great injustice to all who have sacrificed their blood for this revolution. The word dialogue has ceased to exist in the vocabulary of this interim government. It has been replaced with the word negotiation. Yes, the word dialogue is no longer in the vocabulary of the interim government. It is negotiation. At the negotiation table, which should hold anywhere out of Cameroon and also facilitated by the international community, we want a negotiated settlement that spells out the modalities for a break-up or parting of ways from French Cameroon. Our minds are made up. We are resolved that never again shall we be part of French Cameroon. Never again shall we be forced to speak French or learn French. Never again shall we have any representation in a country that doesn't represent us or doesn't care about us. Never again. Never again. And one more thing. The people whom the U.S. ambassador invited to his office in Yaoundé, with perhaps the exception of Cardinal Christian Toomey, did not represent Ambazonians. They hold views completely different from the majority of the 8 million Ambazonians who are saying and yearning for a free and independent republic of Ambazonia. The select few who met with the United States ambassador in his office in Yaoundé are the same select few who have been aiding the colonial regime in Yaoundé, suppressing and reducing the southern Cameroon's masses to the dogs and second-class citizens that they have been made for 56 years and counting. Any form of negotiation that doesn't have the interim government in the room as the main representative of the people of the country called Ambazonia is dead on arrival, new, void, and inconsequential. You can only expect the resistance to continue. We will fight with our lives and with all that we have to secure, or until we secure, the unconditional freedom for Ambazonia. Should the colonial regime in Yaoundé refuse to negotiate, we will live free or die fighting for a free Cameroon. Thank you for listening today, and God bless you, and God bless Ambazonia. I will spend a few minutes to entertain a few questions from you. If you have any question out there, please put it on the screen. I'll be more than glad to take your question. I will take a few minutes to take your questions. And again, thank you for those in Ground Zero for watching. And if you have a question, please, for those of you watching on YouTube, on SCBC, for those of you watching on Facebook, SCBC Facebook page, you got a question out there, I'll be more than glad to take it. I got only a few minutes. And I want to read the comments here. Jacinta Fon, thanks, Secretary Cris Ano, job well done, thank you. College Bongo, no IG, no negotiation, thank you. Elvis Formonio, thank you. I'm sorry, the speed of this is just so much that I can't really keep up with the speed. Remember, no negotiation, no dialogue. Patrick Eto, you are an orator, so thank you. LRC is history for us. We are Ambazonians, thank you. Inzo Imbo, Roland Wing, that's an argument there. Again, if there is no question, I really want to thank you for tuning in. Please take the message out. No negotiations. The war continues. The resistance continues. We will live free or die fighting. Good evening. God bless you. Back to the studio.
My brother. Oh, that's why we serve freedom. Free the Amazonian. Freedom. Sounding Cameroonian. You see us fighting for one nation. We fall back, we rise again, rising for our nation. Oh, when it's time for banana to ride, nobody can stop it. Oh, when it's time for banana to ride, nobody can stop it. Freedom, yeah, freedom, freedom, free the Amazonian, freedom, sounding Cameroonian. People in a glass house don't trust us. Don't get me wrong, leaders of Cameroon. He who live by sword shall die by the sword. Those are some principles no man can